Talking to Scarecrows. Yo, what's up? It's someone that's no one, and welcome back to today's report. This report was sent in by PurplePrkz, where they took 500 milligrams of diphenhydramine. And here's the full report details. Alright, so here we have a first-time DPH report. With a 500 milligram dose, PurplePrkz got a good trip for his first time, but he really didn't have a good hold over himself. His dad thankfully ends up watching over him through most of this, and he ends up fine. But the DPH does mess him up in a sense to where he can't appear sober really. And when he decides to venture outside, he has no chance going about reality as if it were normal. He has a good degree of hallucinations and ends up blacking out. It's a good solid report, and one I'm sure you'll enjoy. So without further ado, let's dive right into this. Disclaimer: I do not condone this in any shape or form. I was just very bored and intrigued by all of the stories I was hearing about this stuff. I remember this trip very vividly, as it was the day I was moving into my new house with my dad. We had been moving stuff in all day, and he asked me if I wanted to come with him to the dollar store and pick up some things. I was gonna say no at first, but just said fuck it because I had nothing better to do, considering we weren't gonna have internet for a while. The store was just up the road, so it wasn't going to be a long drive or anything. When we got there, we were walking across the aisles when I noticed a stack of diphenhydramine sleeping pills sitting out. I remembered that you can trip on this stuff, so I grabbed a bottle, not really paying attention to the packaging or anything because I knew I just wanted to get fucked up. When we got back to the house, I went to my room and started to dose out the pills. There were 100 pills with 25 milligrams of diphenhydramine in each pill. I pulled out the calculator on my phone and dosed out 500 milligrams. I took them all in about 5 minutes. I remember having to keep getting up to get more water bottles because I was only taking 2 at a time, fearing I would throw up or something. I chased down all the pills and started to rearrange my room. When I finished setting up everything in my room, I went out to the kitchen to help my dad set some stuff up. I remember his voice started to seem like it was louder than normal, almost as if he was yelling at me even though he was talking in a regular tone of voice. It started to freak me out a little, so I went back in my room and just lay down for a bit. After laying down for about 5 minutes or so, I realized I had to pee. So I got up out of bed. I remember feeling heavy, like I weighed a ton. At that moment I realized it was starting to kick in. I don't remember if I ever peed or not, but I do remember going into the kitchen. And when I would say something to my dad, I would forget what I was saying in the middle of the sentence. I kept saying, "Do you remember one?" Then I would stumble over my words and forget what I was saying. My dad kept asking if I was okay, and I kept saying, "I'm fine, I just drank a lot of coffee this morning," trying to come up with an excuse on why I was acting the way I was. I remember coming to my senses and going outside to get away from my dad. I was sitting on my porch looking at Instagram. I don't know why I was doing this, considering I didn't have internet or data. But anyways, I see 2 girls sitting on stacks of hay, and they looked hot. So I went over to them to strike up a conversation. But they wouldn't respond to anything I was telling or asking them. They would just sit there, blank-faced. I still continued talking to them after that. I remember walking out the street, and when I reached into my pocket, I couldn't find my phone. I couldn't remember what I did with it or where I could have put it. After this, I don't remember anything. I was just there one moment, and the next moment, I was waking up in my bed. I got up and looked all over for my phone, and I couldn't find it. I talked to my dad, and he said he found me in someone's yard just standing there. He said I was running a fever, and that nothing I was saying was making any sense. I went outside to look for my phone when I recognized the haystacks in my neighbor's yard, only to realize that the girls I was talking to were just scarecrows, not even close to resembling a person.